What's up, everybody? Crowy here, Sparky Coach Podcast. Coming in hot, coming right at ya, Pussycat Dolls style. Or do you remember the Pussycat Dolls? Slight crushes here and there from time to time, but nothing too extreme. No posters on the wall, but did you? And whatever you did, that's good. We're good with it. Did you have a big JTT poster on your wall? Remember JTT? That was some sexy dude. Now, apparently, because he's in The Lion King, right? And we've been revisiting all these movies with kids. And far out, he wasn't actually the person singing. Can you believe that? Can you believe that it's his voice, but not his singing voice? What an age we live in. Imagine, what about the age we live in where you can find out anything you want, whenever you want, however you want, whatever time you want. This is psycho age. All right. Speaking of kids, and speaking of one of my, this is actually a funny story. Kids, they're expensive, right? And there's not a complaint. This is I'm not complaining. We're extremely lucky and fortunate to have two beautiful boys, 6 and 4. And it's funny because it's hard to get right when you go out to lunch, right? So you can go out for lunch one day, and it's a bit better now, a bit more streamlined now, but sometimes you go out for lunch and you'll spend like $100, $150, and no one touches anything except me and Elodie, and I end up eating 3 meals and drinking 2 smoothies and having this ungodly banana bread that's going straight to my hips, straight to my thighs, that no Pilates session in the morning would ever get rid of, right? And you end up just eating all the stuff, and you're like, oh, next time I'm like, you know what? I'm going to save some money, a bit more diligent and disciplined. I'll just order the kids some meals and I'll pick up what's left. And then the kids eat everything. And I'm like, guys, you're killing me. I'm either hungry, dead hungry, or just like cannot physically get back in the car because my hips don't lie. Shakira was right. And this is crazy. So it's getting that fine balance. One of my mates, we've got this like kind of internal rule in the town I live in. It's like you can't walk down the street without spending $100. Like whether you go, everything's $100. If you've been to one of those rural IGAs or rural food works, so we're gonna like in a one street town, and there's a food works, and replace it with an IGA, whatever. It's literally you go in there for 2 items, it's $70. 3 items, $70. 10 items, it's like, man, they must have like a minimum spend of $70. If you've ever been on holidays if you're from the city and you go to one of these like rural towns for holidays, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter what you buy, it's like $70, $75. Whatever. And one of my mates is like a real cool sort of eatery, sort of cocktail slash, some nice beers there, some really good food there, some really great chefs, and it's a beautiful place. And he took his little girl there, and there's these kangaroo skewers, which are like, I'm hesitant to say $40, but maybe mid-30s for not much, right? So, but his little girl is like 4, loves them. So he went there, had a couple of beers, and she was just smashing these kangaroo skewers, little date, like daddy-daughter date afternoon, $230. Crazy, so funny. Oh, what are you gonna do? Just work harder. Work smarter, not work harder. But I'm talking today about, think of your workload as meals, right? So think about this. Like, okay, let's just rehash and refresh and just get to the basis. What am I trying to say here? If you take one thing and one thing only, take this out. So chances are you sat down and you wrote out your goals for the end of the year. And that goal, like to me, bigger than a revenue target would be a staff target, because with staff comes revenue. Revenue's cooked, hey. Like I know a lot of people base their life around it, but revenue can be skewed by so many different factors. It can be skewed by materials purchases, whether you're solar or aircon, or you buy that big switchboard, or you have that really big month with a wholesaler, or it can be skewed. It's a good indicator, but it can be easily skewed, or just because the money's coming in doesn't mean it's staying in. It can be seeping through the cracks and getting out just as fast. So, while you can sit here and say a $200K a month revenue is fantastic, $2.4 million a year, I sat with one person one day, who shall remain nameless, like Voldemort. Even in fact, Voldemort is not nameless. His name is Voldemort. But what am I trying to say? He was on a $3 million turnover from the outside, looking in. Good looking guy. Good looking. I mean, I don't know if I can say it. Good looking kids, like because they look like their old man. You know what I'm saying? I've never met his wife. I'm just assuming she was super sexy. You know, just picture like picture. It's not important. Sexy's not important. Just hear what I'm like. From the outside looking in, everything looked great. Vans on the road. I was coaching and still are coaching other people in the area, and they're like, I just want to be like Mike. I just want to be like Mike. I just want to be like, you know, like that idol sort of. When I get to that point, I'll be happy. I'll be satisfied. And looking, and then sat with him, turnover of 3 mil, and taken home like fat. I would say taking home a wage equivalent of like a operations manager at a mid-tier residential Sparky company. Like that, like not okay, right? If you turn over 3 mil, you want to be holidaying for a month at the south of France. Like you want to be churning some serious money. If you looked at like say a 25% or even 20% total, including wages, that's about 600 grand. So if you're not up near that, that's cooked. Like that is not okay. So it's like that should be sort of the benchmark. Anyway, I'm just saying, just because like everything looks okay for people doesn't actually mean it is okay. And just because revenue is high doesn't mean morale is high or cash is high or profit is high, things like that. Anyway, what I was saying is chances are your goal for the end of the year is to add a tradie, 2 tradies and an apprentice, or 3 tradies and an admin person, or 1 tradie and admin person, or whatever. So it's like if you look at it, and if you're adding 2 or 3 billable resources, 2 or 3 field staff to the end of your year, 2024, what do you need for that? They're going to need what? They're going to need a van, yes. They're going to need some Azito power tools. They're going to need some Bunnings power passes. They're going to need some of the kids' conjure cutters, you know, those ones that cut through like 32 but no more. How bad are those things? When like you open them up and it's like this is not gonna cut through like anything. Like it just gets over 32 mils. Psycho. Who would build such an ungodly tool? Speaking of tools, my son Jasper just frosts on a multimeter at the moment. He's 4 and he'll just like I'm just always telling him, because he's got like pliers and tools and stuff. I'm like, do not cut through. How many times you almost cut through like the multimeter cord? So many times. So busy and rushed it. So being busy and being rushed do to you. Just cut through some cords. If you've done that, just send me a message. I'd love to hear about that. Maybe we can interview you. What kind of headspace were you in at that point? What kind of mindset? What led up to this? Was Betty going like, I've got to go out, and the kids are going crazy, and you're like, I'll get your pendant lights on, Betty. I'll get them on, Betty. I'm gonna get this done. And you were like, ah! What led up to the cut through? If you've done that, let me know, please. Greg@sparky.coach. I'd love to hear about that. Anyway, what we're saying, oh yeah, chances are you're gonna need more work at the end of the year, and more work. What do you need to handle more stuff, more work? So I want to encourage everyone. You see so many people when they get busy, they get stuck. And when they get busy, they stop. And busy is an indicator that you might need to hire. But unless you've like literally got 15 to 20 to 30 staff members and you're like, you know what, I'm comfortable here, we're stopping. If you've got that 0 to 5, you're going to want to keep putting food on the table, so to speak, keep buying those kangaroo skewers, so to speak, and laying the skewers up in the future. So keep finding work. You see too many people get like busy, they get content, they stop answering the phone, they stop. And I want to encourage you, you know, you're eating for 2. It's like, I don't even know if I can use this analogy, but it's like you're pregnant. like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Junior style, right? Like, I don't know if I've seen that. I don't actually think I've seen that movie, but it's like your business needs to be ready in 6 to 9 months, right, to start feeding 1 or 2 more people. Maybe it's twins, maybe it's an individual, maybe it's quadruplets, but it's like you've got to always be stacking the work up like you're feeding mouths in 4 to 6 to 9 months. So my encouragement to you is think ahead, think 6 to 9 months in advance, and just freaking nail it, right? Like too many people get stuck at certain points. There's sticking points of running a business. Usually it's like the sweat to start, that that maybe it's a hiring the first person is usually a real sticking point. Then it's the business owner sort of retracting and reducing the on-site hours, huge sticking point, because you're the admin god, even though you're untrained, uneducated, unskilled, unproductive in the office. But it's like, no one can do it like me. No one can type one-fingered like me invoices on Microsoft Word. No one. No one. And I can't even hand this over to anyone because it's a cooked process and I'll have to explain myself and it's not okay, right? So it's like, there's that sticking point. Then there's the actual probably like physically off the tools, huge sticking point because no one does it like you. And your skill set, which is there's no way in hell, actually I shouldn't say that could be offensive. There's a very, very low chance you started a business because you were excellent in the office. Probably a pretty low chance. Probably started a business because you're the world's best plier swinging, side cutters wielding, conduit cutting lord. That's probably why you started the business, because it's like, oh man, that takes everyone 6 hours, that switchboard upgrade. It'd take me 4 or 2 days for that job. Yeah, take me a day. Right? So it's like, oh, that rough-in took you 10 days? Nah, that would have taken me 7. So chances are you started it because no one was quite as good as you. No one was quite as knowledgeable, as up to just what, or you had that in you, whatever. That's cool, but you probably didn't start the business because you were just this weapon office quoting terminator, right? So it's cool. So let's reference that. That's a sticking point because it's very easy to stay where you're comfortable, and it's like you have to at some point in business embrace uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is great. If you've ever exercised, you'll know that it's in the uncomfortable spaces, in the sweat spaces, in the putting in the time, energy, and effort for this. Well, I'm uncomfortable now, but what is currently uncomfortable will soon become comfortable. And then I'll have a new level of uncomfortable. So your comfort level, you always should be, in my opinion, a little bit out of your comfort zone. That's just my opinion, because then you're going to be becoming more comfortable with what you were once uncomfortable with, and that's going to grow your skill set of everything from people skills. It's all about people, right? If you look at your business, chances are it's going to come people, product, numbers. That's gonna be it, right? It's gonna come down to your people skills with staff and clients. It's gonna come down to numbers, i.e. are you profitable? And it's gonna come down to product, i.e. are the kangaroo skills good or not? Because if they're good, people will pay for them. And if they're not good, people will have a threshold where they will stop paying for them, right? I'm gonna do the next podcast, really interesting one on I wasn't even bored. I know, just on that growth stage of business, how to keep the product good, because that's the biggest thing. It's all good to grow, and that's fantastic. Can be fantastic, but it's cooked if you do it not good, right? So my encouragement to you is, where do you want to be at the end of 2024? And are you currently ensuring that there's food on the table for the tradie coming out, for the apprentice coming out, for the admin person that's going to come in? Like if you want to grow the team a little bit, you're going to need a little bit more work. If you're going to get a little bit more work, it's a comfort level to hire. Well, there's nothing quite like some stacked up work with the comfort levels to hire. So my encouragement to you is, who are you eating for? Who are you putting a meal on the table for? If it's just for your current situation, then it's not okay. I don't think. It's going to suffice you for so long, but not too long. Dr. Zeus quote there. And you're going to need to step your game up. So the finding work analogy, you're only as good as what you were doing 3 to 6 months ago. So get moving right now. We know this is pretty nuts to talk about. We're almost in May. So in 3 to 6 months time, we're pushing really into summer, because we're in the southern hemisphere here. From the northern hemisphere, you can get stuffed because our wiring rules only suffice Australia and NZ, and everywhere else is cooked. So it's like, you're looking at that going, okay, and coming into summer, what are we? Busy. And so busy will carry, so you might organically be able to hire someone already without even chasing work. So imagine where your business could be in that 6 to 12 month time if you actually started diligently putting in some time, energy, and effort to that finding workspace. On the finding workspace, I really struggle with people that make it a big deal to find work. I think there's a couple of key, recognize who can give you repeat work, and then recognize how do I meet new people? Do I join a community group? Like board riders for surfing, or do you start playing squash with a few people, or tennis, or golf, or do you join a dad's group, or do you start helping out at the men's shed, or do you help out at the billy cart derby? Like what just do something, put yourself in a spot. You join a BNI, put yourself in a spot to meet some new people, and then make sure your product stays good, and you'll be absolutely sweet. And keep pushing yourself out of that comfort zone a little bit. Like if a 10 grand quote used to be a little bit uncomfortable for you, try 20, try 30, and just push up incrementally. Chances are there's going to be that thing that lands on your desk for 200. Is that the right fit? Not if a contracts administrator sends it to you. They're just looking for the cheapest price. But yeah, so chase up some work to find out who can give you repeat work. If you know anyone in there, if you don't know anyone, how can I meet someone in that, or how can I ask someone for that? And be comfortable in the asking space, because in my experience, I'm looking to work with good people, and if that good person just happens to be my friend, that's fantastic, because it's like I'd rather the money go to a great place. So eat for 2, eat for 3, eat for 4, but keep your head and your eyes and even your heart to a certain extent, that 3 to 6 months ahead. It's going to help you not get too swept up on the mundane day-to-day stuff, and it's going to keep you focused, keep you motivated, keep you energized, and keep you confident that everything is going to be okay. And I know this is going to speak to someone, and we used to do this in our weekly closeout sessions, and we'd ask, is everything going to be okay? And you had 2 options. Or you know it, like, oh, you know it, and definitely. So definitely for the more reserved sort of people, and or you know it for the actual legends. But just that everything is going to be okay. That's the reality. So don't get swept up in the mud of today, but get caught up in, I was going to say quicksand, that's not the right word. Get caught up in where you can be or where you could be in 3 to 6 to 9 months. So thanks for hanging out. We are Sparky Coach, and we'll see you guys soon.